stalled out vehicle reported. This is southbound I-235, pretty close to Kellogg. So watch out for that traffic update from 98.7 at 1330 KNSS. I'm Jed Chambers.
Weather.
One more day of melting before we turn colder over the weekend. For your Friday, though, partly cloudy skies. You'll notice a stronger breeze at 10 to 20 miles an hour as winds switch out of the northwest. High of 51 degrees. Small chance of rain to the southeast. With your Storm Track 3 forecast, I'm meteorologist Rana Williams.
Live from Southern California, this is the Jim Rome Show.
Yeah, Smackleford is in. As I mentioned, let me know. Let me know what station you're listening on right now. Oh, last year I was saying, what platform are you watching on? Now I want to know what radio station you're listening on. Sean in Wichita writes, same new rat time. Same rat channel at KFH Radio 97.5 FM. Love all our stations. Really love some FM. Sounds clean, right?
Jim Rome, afternoons at 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH, Wichita's most listened to sports radio. Kansas fan headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH Wichita, KNSS HD2 Clearwater, an Odyssey sports station.
Hey, Wichita, it's Jacob Albrock. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next, exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Speaking of reports, there's one stating that Bill Belichick has not actually signed his UNC contract. So exactly what does that mean? I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer, but apparently everybody on the internet is, because the entire internet has decided that this guy is still looking for an NFL job and not committed to North Carolina. Here's where I come out. The fact that he didn't sign a long-form agreement does not mean that he's looking to leave. Maybe he and they just wanted to get him in the building and start working immediately and just needed some sort of agreement on compensation so he could start building it and recruiting. Listen, contract or no contract, $10 million buyout or no $10 million buyout, if the NFL comes calling, this dude is gone, period. He's bouncing without a contract, and it says here he's bouncing even with one. In other words, nothing to see here. Keep moving. I'm Jim Rome.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH, this is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Friday, TGIF. Enjoy a beautiful day out there ahead of a beautiful sports weekend. It's Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. We got to get ready for these NFL divisional playoffs, and we'll do it. Felix Johnson going to hop on to help us with the Chiefs and the Texans. That's a little later in this hour. Next hour, we'll bring in the full cast. We'll have Brandon Zinner, TJ Cleveland, Paul Savage. They're all in. We got to make some picks this week, so we'll do that. Looking forward to it. Getting you ready for the weekend. We've got college basketball to preview, Sunflower Showdown, round 1. Can the Shockers build on what they were able to do in their game against Charlotte? All kinds of good stuff for you today. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
Man, could we have a bigger sports weekend? I mean, obviously you get into the Super Bowl in a few weeks and March Madness and all of that, but man, a divisional round matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs. We haven't seen them in a while, so looking forward to that. The anticipation is killing me. You mentioned Sunflower Showdown, all the other NFL playoff games. It's going to be a jam-packed show.
It'll only be 24 days since you've seen the Chiefs. That's all. A full calendar month, essentially.
The actual Chiefs, the real Chiefs,
right?
Not the backup Chiefs,
not the fake Chiefs.
Right.
So we'll have all that for you. We're going to give away some HDO today. Stay tuned for your chance to win that. We've got all kinds of stuff to tell you about. A cool giveaway for the Shocker game this weekend that we'll tell you about. So we're ready for it. We're ready for it. Kind of a lull on the sports schedule. Missed Thursday night football. Not going to lie. But Thursday night we didn't have any college basketball last night. You could maybe catch Temple beating Memphis in the AAC at home. Maybe that makes you feel better if you're a Shockers fan on a couple of different fronts. One that, Temple at home on that same home court was also able to beat Memphis like it beat you. Maybe Memphis is more gettable than they're getting credit for. So that was there last night. That's about all I saw, Tommy, as far as the game. I'm not locked into the NBA in any form or fashion yet. It's pretty much scroll around college football and anticipate college basketball and anticipate the football for me. But we'll get you ready for it. This is going to be an awesome weekend. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I got caught up on Landman, so that was that's what I did last night.
Now, when you say caught up, what do you mean?
Well, I think I had 3 episodes to go, and we got at least 1 done. So
when did you start it?
Just a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
I thought you hadn't even. I thought you hadn't even started it yet.
No. I was late to the game. We've gotten through probably. I think we're now through 8 of the 10 episodes. So this weekend will be like when we finish season 1.
Yeah, we just finished 2 days ago.
Okay,
and then we actually look at us, real grown-ups. We actually had time to start another show last night.
Which one did you start?
Lioness. It's good.
No idea.
We're 2 episodes in. It's really good.
Okay.
It's another Sheridan show on Paramount Plus. So it was good. It was a good start. A couple episodes in. I heard a lot of good things about it. So we'll get into that one. But I mean, we take so long to watch anything. The fact that we were able to finish Landman, I don't know, it probably took us a month. But we got through it. And this one, we got 2 in one night. It's just like, what is happening here?
That's impressive.
What world is this? I guess that's what happens when you don't have Thursday night football. You don't have any of our basketball teams playing. No marquee Big 12 games or anything like that. I guess that's what normal people do. So we'll get you ready for the weekend. Wichita State welcomes in East Carolina this weekend. Then, of course, you've got the Sunflower Showdown, which feels like it couldn't be worse timing for K-State coming off of a KU loss, probably looking to exercise some demons in a little bit. Paul Mills talked yesterday. We can get into that a little bit in our next segment as we also get ready for football. It's crazy that you have a team like the Chiefs because we have talked almost nothing about one of the better playoff games going in that you'll ever get in Baltimore and Buffalo. Of course, all our attention. So we'll dig into that a little bit. Man, they're going to have a weather game to some degree. I don't think it'll be as cold there as it will be in Kansas City, but they'll have a chance for snow. And so it's like, what effect does that have on how this game is played? We talked to PJ Glasser yesterday. If you missed any of that, you can go listen to it on the Odyssey app, our betting insider. He likes these teams to run the ball in that game. I don't know, Tommy, like if they're running the ball, I don't know who that favors. I mean, the hip shot reaction is Baltimore because they have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. But I don't think Buffalo has any problem running the ball a ton with James Cook and Josh Allen. I think they're fine doing the same thing.
Well, it's certainly not a lopsided. Like you can't clearly point and say, yeah, the Ravens automatically win the game. If it's going to be a heavily focused run type deal, if the weather is that way for either team, because like you mentioned, Josh Allen can take off and he's really good at that. James Cook has been one of the best backs in the NFL as well. So it's not just like a automatic, hey, Baltimore clearly has the advantage if both teams have to really focus on the run. Really, I think it's going to come down to what the wind is doing in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. It's looking like
14, 15. Yeah, it'll be real.
Like a crazy whipping wind. It doesn't look like.
It'll be real similar to what they see at Arrowhead. Now I am looking up at the forecast here. It's going to be colder a little bit. 65% chance of snow right now. I have always been, look, I'm going to enjoy it if they get into the weather. I do, though, and these are both cold weather quarterbacks in the sense that they play in cold weather all the time. So it's not that big a deal. I have such an internal struggle with this, and we've talked about it. Like, I don't love high profile games like this being weather impacted. I don't
love it.
Well, but then there's the other side. Like, I enjoy watching it as it's happening. But if I was a fan of either of those teams, I would feel slightly, slighted because, like, are you getting a true representation of who's the best team? Like, I that would always stick in my head a little bit.
I think you are. I mean, unless the weather is just at a point to where it is, you can't do anything in it.
3 below wind chills with a 65% chance of snow.
Players are slipping and sliding. I went to the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago when it was the Chiefs and the Bengals, and the wind chills were below zero. And there wasn't any snow. It was dry, but the wind was blowing, and it was really frigidly cold. One of the coldest playoff games in NFL history. And I don't think anybody walked away from that game thinking that either team didn't get a chance to fully show off who they were. And it was windy, and it was really, really cold. Yeah. I know that snow can play a role in that sort of thing too. Really, if you're talking about how the players are able to run around, and if you're slipping and sliding and you can't do different things, I get it. I understand. I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing in Buffalo. There might be some snow. It's going to be chilly, but I don't think it's going to do anything to ultimately impact the outcome of the game.
Austin points out that Philadelphia also has a potential for snow during that game. I'll tell you who probably wishes there was a little bit of snow is the Lions. Maybe slow. Although Jared Goff's an inside quarterback, we know that.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it. So 3 out of the 4 games will be weather impacted to some degree this weekend. The Chiefs will just be cold, which isn't, that big a deal.
I mean, I guess doesn't that favor Detroit a little bit? The fact that they get to play at home in a dome, and all of that.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, I would say a team that likes to run the ball like Detroit does, playing a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, give me a blizzard. But yes, Jared Goff has traditionally and historically been much better inside 100%. Than outside. So yeah, I think that's right. I don't. Do I love that 3 out of the 4 games in my favorite football weekend of the year are impacted by weather? I don't think that I do.
I love it.
I don't think that I do, but I'll enjoy it while I'm watching it. We'll come back. We'll preview the Shockers. We got a lot to talk about today. We'll do it next.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, "I don't get it, it's just tea." But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new local news live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, it's a good day to look good. Tommy, tell us about today's Friday Fit.
Yeah, today's Friday Fit brought to you by our friends over at 3570 Golf Company. They are a local Wichita Midwest golf brand, golf apparel. You're talking shirts and hoodies, head covers, hats. They've got it all for you today. I'm wearing this is the Kansas the Caw brand shirt here, and the great thing about it is that it's got the shape of the state of Kansas all over, but it's very subtle. And so you can take it out on the golf course. I can wear it in the office, can wear it to meetings, all of that. They're great. They're fantastic people. And if you are a golfer, you just want to look good, but you also want to represent this part of the country, that's really what they're doing. If you like, the whole Kansas Midwest feel, that's what they do for you over at 3570 Golf Co. You can go online. You can check out their entire selection of all their apparel, all their products, 35x70golfco.com. Use the promo code Tommy right now. You can get 10% off your purchase.
There you go. Look good, feel good. It's a good day to look good and feel good. It's going to be like 50 degrees outside.
I might
Maybe
go
I can
play
get-
some golf today.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know. I'm not sure everything's melted enough to be able to go and do that.
If we're going to get it melted today before we get that same temperature drop we were talking about for all these NFL playoff games. Weather affecting a lot of them. We'll have Felix Johnson in to talk a little Chiefs, to talk a little NFL playoffs. That's coming up in our next segment, so stay tuned for that. We've got a big college basketball weekend too, Tommy. Paul Mills talking yesterday. I do get the sense, just sort of a vibe check, that things have settled in after that win over Charlotte, which more than anything the Shockers needed, I think, just to settle down a little bit. This has been an interesting year for a lot of reasons. One of them is, the panic, I think, that was setting in, and I don't know how much it was setting in internally. I think it was to some degree, because Paul Mills was very visibly, upset and not happy with the way the team was playing, and sometimes seemingly as confused as the rest of us were as to why this was happening. But there was a bit of panic. Like, this can't be happening again. The team has gotten off to an 0-3 start in league play for what feels like a decade. And you had this great start to the non-con, several games where you feel really good about how you played, a few that made you scratch your head, but then you come out and you start 0-3, and two of those three are losses that you just kind of scratch your head at. They get back on track against Charlotte. It wasn't some like overwhelming performance, but for me, more than anything else in that game, Tommy, it was they got back to what they do. And the things that had began to really become a problem in that week and a half of bad basketball. I mean, how long was that really? You came out, they got back from the break. They went to Temple on January 3rd. And that was the start of not that the Temple loss on the road was a really bad loss. It wasn't. I mean, Temple beat Memphis last night, but the way that they played, you didn't like. So you had that on January 3rd. We're looking at, between January 3rd and January 11th. That's 8 days for that panic to set in. A little more than a week. And everything was flipped upside down because of the way they were playing. That, I think, more than anything, you take out of the Charlotte game. They were much better defensively. They didn't turn the ball over at that insane clip that they were. And now maybe that was just an 8-day stretch that, if we're being honest, if it came in the middle of the conference season, right, we'd be like, man, this is a little bit of a rough stretch here, this 8 days. But the fact that it came at the beginning again, I think, is where that panic came from. And now they have a quick chance to get that turned around if they can handle their business at home tomorrow night.
Well, I think that in some aspects of that statement, you're correct. It started at the beginning of the conference slate instead of in the middle. And so, sure, that's absolutely going to heighten the panic because you're starting 0-3 in conference play. And, once you get through Charlotte and East Carolina, the next couple of games after that are against the top of the conference in Memphis and North Texas. So I get all of that. I understand that, but it doesn't discount the fact that, regardless if it's at the beginning or the middle of the conference season, they were playing terrible. And things that were just completely, not ideal whatsoever, and the opposite of the way that Paul Mills wants this team to perform on the court. So you can place that bad stretch wherever you want to in the course of the season. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The bottom line was that during that stretch, the play and the effort and the intensity and all those different things that we've talked about during that stretch were so poor and so bad. And you know what? Look, they beat Charlotte earlier this week. That's great. I'm glad that they got a conference win. They still didn't play extremely well. They played good enough to win, and the win was important. The defensively, the effort was there, much better than what we had saw before. But it wasn't like they just flipped a switch and all of a sudden everything is all hunky dory again. I don't think that's the case. Now, if they can win again tomorrow at home against East Carolina, then you're moving to 2-3 in conference play ahead of a tough stretch. You get 2 home wins this week. Hopefully they can continue on, carry that momentum into the Memphis and North Texas game. But look, I don't think you can explain away the bad stretch of basketball or downplay it by saying, well, if it was in the middle of the season, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Well, no, they still played really terrible.
I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm trying to put into perspective the reasons for maybe a heightened sense of panic. And I think there's history there. There's history that we've seen this before. We saw it last year, right? You get optimistic and then they just fall apart in the conference schedule for some reason. That's where the panic's from. No, I don't want to I'm not making excuses for a bad stretch of 3 basketball games. It was a terrible stretch of 3 basketball games that shouldn't ever happen. You don't want it to. I'm saying there were all these factors of like, this felt bad, right? But it has a chance to feel normal again pretty quickly if they do what they need to do. No, they didn't play their best game against Charlotte. Charlotte's not very good. Charlotte's not a good 3-point shooting team, but you got to start somewhere, right? And holding a team under 40% from 3, which it had felt like a lifetime since they were able to do that, out rebounding a team and having fewer than 10 turnovers, all of the things that contributed to the 3 losses got better in the Charlotte game, at least got back to normal. And that's where I think you can start. Like let's start there and say,
lay the foundation.
Okay, maybe they're back on track. It's not even like the foundation has been there. You don't beat K-State as bad as K-State's been this year. You don't beat them the way they beat them if you're a bad basketball team. And I don't think they ever were a bad basketball team. I think they were playing bad. And that's almost
a good. I mean, would you say they were a good basketball team playing bad?
In relative terms of being where they should be in the American, yes. Like good basketball team is relative. Like NCAA tournament team, no. Good basketball team, improvement from last year.
A talented basketball team playing poorly.
In their lane, yes. And they were playing not just poorly, they were playing very poorly. Like really, really bad. Their worst basketball of the season for 3 straight games. Now, it came over a very short amount of time. And so you hope that it's like, okay, whatever that was, that's gone. They're not going to win every conference game they play the rest of the way, I don't think. And that's okay. You just can't play like that consistently again. Like that ability to do that cushion, that's gone now. Like you have to now bring it every night. And I think getting Ronnie DeGray back, I really do think that helps his team in all of the ways they were struggling. He should help them in all of those ways. That's a big piece coming back, and that will help.
If they can get a victory tomorrow against East Carolina, again, not a great team, but by any means,
not a bad, not as bad as Charlotte or UTSA,
but they're not great. Right. It's a winnable game at home in Koch Arena. At that point, you're 2-3 in conference play. You're playing Memphis. You're playing North Texas next week, right? So
you're playing Memphis and Tulsa. North Texas is
Memphis and Tulsa, and then North Texas after that. So if you can get the East Carolina and Tulsa game, at that point you're 3-3, and then between Memphis and North Texas after that or around that same time, I think let's just say a 3-5 conference record as opposed to a 2-6 or 1-7. Big conference deal. Record through 8 games. That's a huge deal. And it starts tomorrow night with East Carolina.
Because of all the winnable games they'll still have on their schedule. I'll tell you that if they can get to 4-4, like if we're looking for things to sort of put on a like achievable goals that would be a lot. But if you can beat North Texas at home, like if you just win the ones you're supposed to, you don't win in Memphis, and then you find a way to beat North Texas at home. And now you're talking. Right now we're 4-4 here again. Like you have that quality win on the schedule would become their best win of the year. And now you're talking a little bit. And I don't think that's out of reach by any means. Now, what we also on the flip side must fear is that it wasn't an 8-day aberration and that East Carolina comes in and plays well and is not a bad 3-point shooting team like Charlotte was. I don't know if they are. They are. And I haven't scouted East Carolina. My apologies. But then it could get worse. It could go the other way real fast. You could lose all of the reset energy that you might have. It goes away immediately if they don't play well against East Carolina. That there is some urgency, I think, this weekend, which will be fun to watch. It'll be fun to see them face that sort of urgency. Up in the Big 12, you've got K-State going to Lawrence to take on KU. Jerome Tang has done a pretty good job against Kansas historically, as good as anybody does. I don't see it. I don't know how they're going to hang in this one. Who do they have? Like, of all the things, when we've seen Kansas have a hard time, it's seemingly when the opposition's got some beef, right? K-State doesn't have any beef. Their beef, Coleman Hawkins, sits on the outside the entire game. So I'm not sure there's much I can look at and be like, yeah, K-State could do X, Y, Z. Unless KU just plays like dog crap, I don't see a path for K-State here.
Well, they're going to need David Gasson to have a big game. I think Kansas State will need that for tomorrow. They're going to need him to have the same kind of rebounding effort that he had a couple of weeks ago when he pulled down 17 in that win against Cincinnati. That's going to be crucial. I mean, just essential for Kansas State. And, because Tim Fitzgerald talked about it yesterday, that Coleman Hawkins, when he was at Illinois playing Hunter Dickinson, when he was at Michigan, Coleman Hawkins was always on Hunter Dickinson during that time. That may not be the way that Jerome Tang wants to deploy Hawkins and use him in this game.
Wants to do.
May not be the way Hawkins wants to actually play the game. So regardless if that happens, you're going to need to lean on David Gasson, to be tough and to, hold firm in the paint and to get the rebounds. One concerning thing about Hunter Dickinson, and I watching the Iowa State game, and I'm not saying Kansas State and Iowa State are two completely different teams, obviously, and the talent level is completely different between those two programs. But I felt like Hunter Dickinson got bullied quite a bit in the post against Iowa State. And there were moments I'm watching that game the other night, and I'm like, man, Dickinson looks soft. He looks soft down there, and he's getting pushed around. And
I hate that term, Tommy, but I've been telling you that
he looks soft. He
looks for 3 months. For 3 months, he's looked that way to me. He's looked slow. He's looked old. He is old. He's looked old.
So he kind of. I saw somebody compare him to like the old man playing pickup ball at the Y. And so. I'm not, again, suggesting that Kansas State has the dudes that like Iowa State does to be able to make Dickinson look soft and slow and all of that. But that's what they're going to have to do. And it's going to have to probably be on the shoulders of David Gasson tomorrow, I would imagine.
I mean, Hunter Dickinson even has the old man trot down the court.
He
like when he's coming down in transition, it's the real stiff like legs. But I know that trot. That's the trot of like, I don't want to. It's the trot of I don't want to pull him. I don't want to pull a muscle when I'm coming down the other way. That's what that trot is.
That's
like
the way I look when I chase after my kids. I'm like, I'm going to hurt myself really bad.
We know that trot.
I know it.
Men of a certain age all know that trot. That's the trot.
He's 24.
I always joke that he's old in relative terms. It's relative. But we also, and again, like, and I have thought I have thought that all year long. He can also push people around like he did against UCF. And so, it's not just in this game, it's really all season. Like KU, if they can figure that out, like if they can figure out how to eliminate him being physically pushed around against teams, and there aren't a ton of them, but there are teams, especially in the Big 12, that can doing that, yet get him down where you need him to be offensively. That's the challenge right now for Kansas. And that's what, just continue to watch. And Flory Badunga seems to be the way you can do it, but he's still so young and has to be able to stay on the floor, which he's struggled with that, as most freshman big men do. That's always going to be what we watch with Kansas. Can they utilize Hunter Dickinson's wildly talented offensive skill set, but limit his what seems to be growing defensive liabilities? And that's the challenge for Bill Self here. How does he do that? How do you take advantage of what he can bring you offensively, but limit what a team that's poised to do it can do to him defensively? And that's what Kansas has been all year. And that's why you look ahead to like a Houston game. Like, I'm terrified of that game for Kansas because Houston looks like a bunch of football players out there like they always look. And they're going to push people around.
I think it's a really good spot for Kansas this weekend to get right. I know Tim Fitzgerald said that yesterday because you've got an opportunity because there is a talent, disparity between the two teams, or at least there's been a results disparity between these two teams this season where I would love, I don't know if it's going to happen. Bill Self is notoriously stubborn with the way that he deploys his talent. I would love to see some different looks against Kansas State because you've got kind of, I would think, that luxury at home against a team that is down like Kansas State. I would love to see a lineup on the court, a lot more of Dickinson and Badunga together on the floor. I typically don't like two big lineups, but I think that has an opportunity to really be a thorn in the side of the Wildcats tomorrow. I would love to see a lineup where you're trying out, different kinds of rotations of guards. I don't think you need DeJuan Harris in there a ton. I would love to see what it looks like if you're really leaning more on minutes from guys like Rylan Griffin and AJ Storr to try to get them right. I'm not saying
I think they're going to have to, because KJ Adams, right. we think KJ, I don't know if he'll miss. He hasn't missed time in 3 years. He missed that Sweet 16 game. And I think that's it. So yeah, but he may miss this one.
But I would love to see different looks tomorrow that we maybe are not accustomed to seeing, or maybe we only see in flashes. I would love to see what it looks like for extended minutes in a game. And I think that you've got a little bit of an opportunity in a game against a Kansas State team that's down to be able to try that out.
Yeah, you got to be careful. But yes, they may not have a choice, and that would be one thing. But I don't think there's going to be a Big 12 game where Bill Self rolls the dice like that, because they got to win as many of them as they can. It's not the cake. They're not walking through the Big 12. They're going to really struggle to finish near the top or at the top.
But if you're going to find an opponent where you can maybe,
this is the one. Yeah, it's the worst team in the Big 12.
And experiment. It's going to be against K-State at home.
Absolutely. And they do need to figure it out, because if AJ Storr's ever going to find it, boy, you'd sure like to see it. All they need. Can you give us a defensive effort? Because Bill Self's never going to play somebody that doesn't do that. Can you just hit an open three? That's it. Can Zeke Mayo not have to take 14 of them? Can somebody else hit some outside shots? We'll find out this weekend in the Sunflower Showdown. Felix Johnson joins us next. We're talking NFL football, including the Chiefs. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, Stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
And now, digging deeper with the teams you follow, it's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every day here at our Odyssey family of stations. We are joined now for the first time by Felix Johnson. You can find his work at Field Vision. You can find his work at Arrowhead Addict. Felix, welcome in. Welcome to Sports Daily. How are you, man?
How we doing? How we doing, Jacob, Tommy? Good morning.
We're good. We're ready for some football this weekend. We were just talking, and we look across the board there, and it looks like we're going to have 3 games out of the 4 that are in pretty crummy weather. I think the home teams are more or less all equipped for that weather. Certainly, the Chiefs are. When you think back to the Dolphins game last year, it's a nice balmy, 11 degrees or whatever it is that they'll play in this weekend. But what do you look when you look at that kind of thing for the Chiefs? Do you adjust any way that you're thinking about the game? Advantage Chiefs? I would think it's advantage Chiefs.
When the Chiefs were passing the ball a lot more often, when they had all the light show, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce was more in his prime. We're still seeing him play at an elite level, at least at times, and Patrick Mahomes won his first MVP. It kind of worried me back then, like in their first playoff run a couple years back then. But even then, they still dominated offensively, so it didn't matter. Now they're ground and pound defense. This is what it looks like when you're playing in cold weather. This is what you need to do. This is what they do every week, even if it was sunny and 75. So it wouldn't matter either way. I mean, it's the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's hard to have any worries anyway.
What do you feel like as far as that narrative and the discussion that's been going on for quite a while about just the amount of time that it's been since we've seen the Chiefs starters on the field? Clearly, the veterans and the stars are healthy. They're rested, all of that. I mean, that probably lends a lot of thought to the fact that both Travis Kelce and Chris Jones are going to be able to, dominate, hopefully, because they're rested and healthy with that time off. But do you buy into any kind of rust, or is that something that is just so overblown by the national media?
I think literally any other one seed except for this particular one, who's not only won back-to-back Super Bowls, but dating back to 2018 has been in the AFC Championship game. They've played basically the longest season every year for the last 6 or 7 years, or at least one of. So any rest is good rest whenever they need it. Obviously, Travis Kelce, he's old and slow and whatever you feel about Travis Kelce, he needs the rest. And then Chris Jones needs the rest. Everybody needs like Patrick Mahomes needed to have a baby this week. Like it just happened so perfectly that the Chiefs needed this week off, and they're the back-to-back reigning defending Super Bowl champions. So it's hard to believe that them getting rest isn't an advantage.
Well, I think it's fair to wonder if there might be rust for a drive, for a quarter, whatever it is. I think they're equipped in this particular game to handle it just fine. We've been talking. I'm having a hard time, and this makes me nervous because we all know this is the NFL and everything. Makes me nervous how much I'm liking the Chiefs in this particular matchup, in this particular game. Like everything seems to be lining up for the Chiefs here, and I feel like that makes me a little nervous for their chances.
Well, I think the reason why you would be so confident is that we saw this not that long ago. We saw these two teams play when it mattered the most, at least for the Chiefs when they're still trying to get the 1 seed and the Texans still fighting for their division at the time. Like we saw this game very recently, and who came off the field and felt like the dominant playoff team? It was the Chiefs. And we joke about it all the time about the big playoff comeback that the Chiefs had against the Texans. It might happen again where that rust does kick in. The Chiefs are down 10-0, but it's Patrick Mahomes. We've seen him down 10-0 10 million times. So it's hard to believe that even in situations at the end of the first quarter, if they're down 10-0, I'm not going to be shocked if they are leading by halftime.
Offensively, Felix, outside of Rashee Rice, the Chiefs have their full complement of offensive weapons in this game tomorrow and poised for hopefully a long playoff run for them. I posed this question to our betting insider yesterday. It makes it tough to try to zero in on exactly where the distribution of the ball is going to go from Patrick Mahomes. And clearly with the struggles in the offensive line, it's been not only ground and pound, but it's been the quick strike passing offense to guys like Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. And now with Hollywood Brown back, Travis Kelce, of course, is still there. In your mind, in an ideal way for Kansas City to win and really hopefully win big against Houston, who needs to get the ball from Patrick Mahomes most tomorrow?
I think it's Travis Kelce. I mean, he said the other day that he's not retiring, but we'll see in a couple of weeks. These could be the last couple of games that he plays as a Chief. And I mean, these are the only things that he has left on his resume to complete. He has all the Pro Bowls, all the records, whatever else it is. Now he needs to get the three-peat just as much as Patrick Mahomes does when it comes to the Brady GOAT debate, if you want to get there already. I think that for Kelce, it's about the playoffs specifically, and him getting the ball kind of gets the ball rolling for everybody else too, because once the safety starts paying more attention to Travis Kelce, all of a sudden you got Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy on both sides. That's a bigger problem. Then that's why the Chiefs often struggled all year long. We talked about it at Field Vision a lot all year long, where we thought that the Chiefs offense was going to be explosive, and it looked like it was because they had a number one receiver for the first month of the season, and then they didn't. And then they got Hollywood Brown for the first time at all. So they had some type of receiving help. And so I think that we're seeing the best version of the Chiefs offense when the Chiefs usually play the best.
And that doesn't even take into consideration their thumper that they can turn loose for the first time in Isaiah Pacheco. I've seen a lot of conversation about who will they use more of Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. And to me, it's like a no-brainer. They can finally use Isaiah Pacheco really for the first time this year since the very early part of the season. We all expect them to throw it around because they have all these weapons and it's Andy Reid, but he has shown historically that he'll lean into Pacheco in games. How big a role do you think Pacheco plays in this postseason?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I think this is pretty interesting, something that Chiefs fans and Chiefs media aren't really talking about as much, because Pacheco's back. It's like, all right, just insert him back into the lineup. But I think it could be a little bit more strategic in the playoffs, where I think we're expecting, at least early on in this Houston game, for Xavier Worthy 50 yards down the field, touchdown, awesome. But you also do want to compare that or complement that with Kareem Hunt 3 yards. Travis Kelce for a first down, and then you hit your Xavier Worthy shot over the top. And then I think you use Isaiah Pacheco in the second half for still running the ball, trying to close out the win. But as explosive as he is, it forces the defense to pay more attention to you that way. Now, Andy Reid's obviously a better offensive genius than I am. I mean, I haven't called a play ever. But I think that could be something strategically that the Chiefs look at and just say, we have two running backs that have two different styles. How can we use that to our advantage, knowing that we can figure out a way to win basically no matter what?
It looks like defensively, Felix, that Jalen Watson is going to return at least in some capacity, whether or not he's on a snap count or, if he's a full go out there. I think that because of all of the focus on the offensive weapons getting rest and being healthy going into this game, I'm not sure that that's getting quite the amount of attention that it deserves, because that defense, at least before he got hurt, was so good to start the year. And having him back, if he is at a point to be able to be, even, 75% healthy or even more than that, that's a big difference maker for Steve Spagnuolo's defense.
Absolutely. I think, and I heard this from Nick Wright, everybody's favorite Chiefs national person, but he believes that the only team that could beat the Chiefs is a team with two good receivers. And now with Jalen Watson back, is that even possible? And I'm not even saying Jalen Watson is an elite corner to go up against a Devontae Smith or a Cooper Kupp or whatever the case may be, and that would be in the Super Bowl. So we'd have to have that conversation when we get there. But I think that Jalen Watson opens the door for the rest of the defense, allows Spags to be a little bit more complex in his blitzing schemes on third and long. How does that look against C.J. Stroud, who's had difficulty with his offensive line this year, especially on the interior? Chris Jones, best defensive tackle in the league, and maybe of this era post. I mean, never mind, Aaron Donald existed. But I think that Jalen Watson's appearance allows the Chiefs defense to be more versatile, because Spags is like, yeah, we've got both our corners. We're ready to go.
Felix Johnson joining us. Find his work at Arrowhead Addict, at Field Vision. I don't know that I agree with the two receiver theory. I think the team that beats the Chiefs will be the team, if there's a team that can get to Mahomes consistently. That's been the biggest problem throughout the year for the Chiefs. Not lately. They've been much better at it lately. But are we really ready to just assuming it's Joe Thuney out there, that they'll just all of a sudden be able to protect? I know that they have taken a lot of the play calling away from keeping Mahomes in danger, thankfully. But that's the Achilles heel for this team still, is their left tackle spot.
I agree with you, but I think that Patrick Mahomes, when are most of his iconic runs, like his scrambles, sure, when do they happen? In the playoffs against the Titans, and even after the ankle injury in the Eagles run to the Super Bowl and whatever that the Jags game, that's what it was. Watch that game from Applebee's in Tulsa, never again. I think that Patrick Mahomes knows that his left tackle is an issue. Whomever's there, whether it's Joe Thuney, teams know that too. So Patrick Mahomes definitely knows that. So now, is he going to be a little bit more decisive when he decides to run? Because Patrick Mahomes does hold on to the ball for a little bit long. That's one of the things off of his scouting report that has stayed with him for his entire career. It's just that he's that good. He's got bad footwork, but it doesn't matter because he's Patrick Mahomes. So I think that despite the offensive line issues, they'll probably be fine because Patrick Mahomes is just aware of everything at all times.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. But what if it's coming from the right side? Jawan Taylor's not an all-pro. You know what I mean? I think great quarterbacks have that's always been that. Tom Brady was the same way. His pressure came a different way, came up, but it's always been it's the thing to watch, I think, especially against a team like the Texans who can rush the passer. Let's look at the other playoff games real quick, Felix. I think when we talk about every team has everything to gain here, what team do you think has the most to lose in this postseason? Is it Lamar and the Ravens if they don't have a good performance in Buffalo?
I don't think so, because I think we're expecting the Ravens to continue to do what the Ravens do, because just their defense was bad at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, pretty respectable defense. So we're expecting the Ravens to continue to do whatever they do in perpetuity. And so I think they're just kind of a ceiling over the AFC by the name of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. But then there's also an underceiling underneath that. That's Josh Allen and the Bills. And even then, that's a little bit penetrable. But then there's also Cincy and the Bengals. And so I think that the AFC is kind of interesting. But I think the sneaky correct answer is Detroit on the other side of the bracket, because they have the 1 seed, the best season we've ever seen in Detroit history. And luckily they beat Minnesota in week 18 to secure that 1 seed, and they didn't have to play the Rams in the first round, because we could have seen something a lot like what we saw with Sam Darnold. So I think that if the Lions don't at least make it to the conference championship and probably make it to the Super Bowl, it's probably a disappointment, just because they don't have – I'm not sure if Ben Johnson's there, and their offense may not be as good next year.
I hear you on that. I think you might be right. All right, Felix, we appreciate it. You can follow Felix at Felix R. Johnson on X. Find his work there as well. All kinds of good stuff at Field Vision and Arrowhead Addict. We appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by the first time. Let's do this again soon.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
There goes Felix Johnson. We're coming back. We're going to pick these games, including the 2 we just talked about there, the 3 or the 4, whatever it is. We're picking them all. We'll do it in the second hour. We got a lot to get to. Don't go away. More Sports Daily right after this.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. We are taking you through another hour here on a Friday, getting you ready for a football weekend. Cannot wait for all of the football this weekend. It's going to be great. If you want to win some HTO, now is your chance. You can do that by texting the short code TEA to the code 20357. You can win a free iced tea, including root beer, which is back. Root beer tea lattes. You can also win a coffee drink featuring free reign coffee. You can enter once per day message and data rates apply. Good luck on that, everybody. Tommy, as we look at the NFL coaching cycle, there's not a lot of movement on the NFL coaching cycle. We're waiting. Do you think that's because we're waiting on these coaches that are still in the playoffs? Like, is there that much of a ripple effect? We don't usually see this. It doesn't feel like, where you've only got one, right? We've only had one job filled. That's it.
Vrabel to the Patriots is really the main one. I think that, that's part of it. Ben Johnson is probably going to have his pick of the litter. I know that he's been, absolutely being courted by Tom Brady and the Raiders. But waiting on him. I think Aaron Glenn will probably land somewhere with the Lions as well. And I've heard some speculation about like Steve Spagnuolo. I'm not sure he's going to go anywhere. But there has been that conversation. And I know that there are a couple of other coordinators with teams that are still in the playoffs that might be part of slowing things down also. Honestly, I think that these are teams that absolutely feel like they have to do their due diligence and they have to absolutely feel confident and comfortable in who that person is going to be. The Cowboys situation with McCarthy and him getting fired so late in the game after Black Monday probably slowed things down as well.
You know what we've never really talked about, and I've seen people, we've obviously wondered about Andy Reid and his future. There hasn't been much of that this year as much as some others because everybody's been so laser focused on the incredible job he's done, honestly, and going for the three-peat and all those. You mentioned Steve Spagnuolo. Who is the heir apparent to Andy Reid? We talk about Andy Reid retiring almost every year, but we never talk about who would be next potentially if that were to happen. And I don't think it will. I think he loves this too much. But man, I haven't really thought about that. And Spags' name getting sort of, because I think Spags deserves another chance as a head coach. Like, just listen to the way players talk about him, right? and look at the job that he's done. But
I actually don't know if I agree with that, to be honest with you. I love Steve Spagnuolo.
I'm not saying he should be the heir apparent for Andy Reid. I'm saying he deserves another shot to be a head coach.
He's been phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal as the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. And they needed that desperately because it was so bad under Sutton before him. But remember, Steve Spagnuolo has had a couple of stints as an NFL head coach, and they've not gone well. Coached the Rams, and it was awful. He was, I think, the interim head coach for the Giants, maybe.
4 games. He got 4 games.
Even going back to when he was with the Rams, and I know that was 15 years ago, it was not good when he was the Rams. So I don't think you can rewrite history and say
it was really bad for Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll, their first go rounds too, though.
I get it. And don't get me wrong. Again, I love Steve Spagnuolo. He's been a great defensive coordinator, all of that. If I were him, honestly, I don't know if I'd want to go back in that role. Like, I'm really comfortable and really happy with what I'm doing and having a ton of success as the best.
I don't disagree with that either. I would look again. You always you always want a chance at it, right? Like if you're, it's always nice to be in charge, but sometimes when you get up there but what if it's not Andy Reid? Does Spags still feel the same way? I'm not sure. I don't think he does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think if it wasn't the exact same setup that it is now, it wouldn't be. But that's what makes me think about that. Like, I don't know that Spags is going to take another job, but would he be the guy for the Chiefs if Andy Reid ever steps away while he's still there?
Maybe. But remember, Steve Spagnuolo is 65, right? Like, he and Andy Reid are on the same age, So now it looks a little bit different. Like, I think Spagnuolo, the way he carries himself and the way he looks, and he's got this energy. It's not unlike Pete Carroll. Like, he looks a lot younger than he actually is, and acts a lot younger than he actually is. So maybe Spagnuolo's got enough gas left in the tank, to make that work. I don't know. I don't think that it's going to be a situation where Andy Reid walks away.
I don't either.
But if he does, I don't know if I would make it just a given that Spagnuolo will be the guy.
So I'm just because I had to look. So obviously Bill Belichick didn't have a good first go around with Cleveland. He was 8 games under 500 over like 5 years. Pete Carroll obviously had his resurgence before he got back to the NFL. But he had a decent record in New England. He was the coach of the team when they went to the playoffs a couple of times. So his go round the first time was a little better. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny to me that we haven't really talked about Andy Reid that way this year when we almost always do for like the last 4. And I don't know why that is. Probably because Travis Kelce's taking more of that sort of conversation's attention. It does feel more like Kelce may be done after this than Andy Reid may be done after this. Andy Reid, young and spry, giving Adam Teicher a well-deserved shout-out yesterday at the media briefing. Shout out to Adam Teicher, by the way, who's always been very kind and generous with his time down there. Anytime I used to be on the beat, long time ago. But yeah, Andy Reid just seems to be loving it. Travis Kelce loves it too, but at some point, like physically, you get checked out of the NFL when the NFL says it's time, right? There's a physical component to it. Andy Reid could coach forever. Like, what's Andy Reid going to do? Like, you think Andy Reid's going to go sit down and be an analyst? Like, no. What's he going to do?
Andy Reid is going to go and probably like go on like a barbecue tour around the U.S. Like, get in an RV, drive to all the obscure burger joints around the country. Like, I could see him doing that.
I think
he would love it. I think he would love it.
I don't think I could see him doing anything but coaching football. I think that's all he does. That's his thing. I don't know. He may coach 10 more years and I wouldn't be surprised by it. Like it's interesting that we don't have that conversation, but I have never thought about who would take over if he does leave. I've never thought about that. Only if he would, I guess. Interesting. Commanders Lions is a game, Tommy, real quick. And we're going to pick all these in just a minute. We'll have our full cast in. We have not talked a lot about this game. And in that last segment with Felix Johnson, he mentioned the Lions might have the most to lose. I don't think I agree with that because of the injuries they have faced defensively. I think that fan base will be devastated if they were to lose that game, or quite frankly, any game, to be honest. But there would be a better like the Ravens, sort of like the Chiefs, like It's all lined up here for the Ravens, except for going to win these games. And their path is going to be brutal to get there. I get it. It's going to be brutal for any of these teams left. The problem and the reason I think theirs is so high is because Lamar has not been a good playoff quarterback. They've added Derrick Henry, and their defense is no longer a liability. There's no more excuses for Baltimore here.
Yeah, but I don't agree that like they've got the most to lose, because I think that the Ravens altogether are poised to challenge for a while. I don't think that it's like they've got to do it this year or it's never going to happen.
Which of these teams aren't?
I think that, in my opinion, I think the one that stands out to me, and it's not that they don't have the talent to do it moving forward, but I think the doubt starts to really creep in a lot for the Eagles if they get bounced early, if they don't make it. I mean, like they've been to the top of the mountain and they didn't get it done. It hasn't been, I mean, remember, like the Eagles haven't won a Super Bowl since Doug Peterson was the head coach. Nick Sirianni hasn't gotten it all the way done.
When was the last time the Ravens won a Super Bowl?
Well, I'm not saying it's been forever. I'm just saying like this era of Eagles football hasn't resulted in a championship. And I think it calls into question whether or not Jalen Hurts can get it done. And I know that there are going to be people are going to draw parallels between them and the Ravens for sure. I just think the Ravens are built to be able to, if it's not this year, challenge a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And I'm not sure it's quite the same way with Philadelphia.
So that's interesting. I think you just don't like Nick Sirianni, and that's a part of it. I get it.
I think it could be a part, I mean, maybe a little bit of a part of it. Yeah, I don't think Sirianni is a Super Bowl winning coach.
Well, that's fine, but neither is,
John Harbaugh is.
But McDermott's not, and Dan Campbell's not.
McDermott absolutely is.
A Super Bowl winning coach?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said McVay. I was misunderstanding. Yeah, McVay is.
I don't think so.
McDermott is not. You're correct.
I think that dynamic exists.
John Harbaugh is
forever. Yeah, John Harbaugh doesn't have anything to prove, but Lamar Jackson's been maybe the best player in the league for a few years and falls flat in the postseason. And Derrick Henry's no spring chicken either. They'll always be in it. Buffalo has plenty to lose too here, by the way. Like don't miss it. Like this is Buffalo's best shot also. That game is fascinating because it's both of these teams' best shot. Like I think, and I know everybody like Steph Diggs is gone. Yeah, I get Steph Diggs is gone. Buffalo is really good and they're really balanced, more balanced than they have been in any year with Josh Allen. He's going to win the MVP. There's a lot of pressure there too. I think the Lions thing is a little bit of like because the fan base wants it so much, but like, is this really the year with all the injuries the Lions have faced defensively? Is this really the year we feel like it's boom or bust for Detroit?
No,
I don't think it is either. But I've heard that a lot. I mean, Felix Johnson felt that way. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't
feel that way with them. I also don't feel that way with the Bills because if they were gonna fall apart and have a rebuild year, it would have been this year. And they proved that they weren't gonna do that. They couldn't do that. They were not in that place. I feel good about them moving forward.
I think all these teams' arrows, by the way, are pointed in the right direction. Every team remaining. I love this postseason. It's going to be fun. We're going to pick these games, and we're going to do that next. Everybody joins us. Don't go away.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Hey, sports bettors, ready for some picks destined to fail? It's time to hear what the Sports Daily staff thinks of the weekend game.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. It is time for some picks. We are glad that you are here with us. We've got a video stream running that you can always see on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. Glad to have that ability for you here, too. You can chime in there. You can leave your comments. We were talking about coaches, and Rick chimed in real quick. If you have a great quarterback, you need an offensive head coach. I think it helps, but I think Tom Brady and Bill Belichick would have something to say about that. But yeah, maybe we'll get into that after we make these picks. We're going to pick all the playoff games for the NFL. We're going to pick the college football national championship. and we're going to have some fun while we're doing it, I think, because Tommy has results, and I'm not sure that's going to be fun. I don't even remember what happened last week.
Well,
Tommy, what happened last week?
Yeah, look, I've been dreading going through this just because Paul Savage had a really good week, and he's sitting to my right, and I've got to hear him gloat for a while. Paul went 5-1 in the picks a week ago. He won the week, and he's back to being the leader in the clubhouse. He has he's 7 games over 500 at 62-55. And then from there, Jacob, you, me, and Brandon, the three of us were all 2-4. We came in second, tied 2-4 behind Paul's 5-1, and then bringing up the rear, the caboose, TJ, who had an opportunity to really put it away, and he didn't do it. He's now dropped down to second place behind Paul. TJ, you went 0-6 last week. What do you have to say for yourself?
Hey, Jacob knows about this. Yesterday, I was cutting some jalapeno peppers. I still have some nerve damage. So what that means is that I got the hot hand, and it's time to get it back today.
Yeah, that's one kind of hot hand. TJ's the Miami Dolphins of this pick segment. Get to the postseason and fall apart.
The overall lead that you have?
What's my lead?
All right, so you have now a 2-game lead over TJ.
But here's the thing, TJ. Just like you, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to take my hat off to you because you're a man. Last week, you purposely said on this show, I'm not backing down. I'm not picking with Paul just so I could scoot through this thing and win a championship. You said, I'm playing full tilt. I'm going to do my best. And I respect that. You and I today, we're going toe to toe. I'm not going to coast and pick what you're picking just so I get this win. I'm not doing it that way. So, man, you did it for me last week. I'm doing it for you this week.
Well, we're not going to let you, Paul, because as we make picks, you get to go first, big fella.
On every pick?
You're not going to get not on every pick, but on this first one, we'll take them in chronological order here, and let's start with the big one. Texans 8.5 points on the road, Paul. Last time the Chiefs played them, they only beat them by 8. They get 8.5 this time. What do you think?
Boy, that was the one game I missed last week. You know something? I had a feeling last week because the thing is at least at Tommy and I, every time we were on the show, all through this season, we talked about the Texans, how they could win a Super Bowl. And Tommy go, yeah, that's right. They're capable of winning, and they are capable of winning a Super Bowl. We saw that last weekend. So I'll tell you what, 8 points is a lot. It's at Arrowhead. 8 points. Boy, that just gives me pause. 8 points. 8 points. You know something? I'm going
8.5. 8.5.
Is it 8.5? Okay, I got 8. All right, 8.5. Let me. You know something? I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans. I think the Chiefs win. But I think the Texans cover.
Okay. You may get an island there. I'll be interested to see that. I'll go next because we tied the rest of us basically, except TJ. He's in last. He can go last. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I got to tell you, I love the Chiefs in the matchup. I love everything about it, but that X factor will be assuming Joe Tooney and Jawan Taylor on those edges. Can they protect Mahomes the way they did the first time they played the Texans, or can that Texans defense do what it did against the Chargers? We'll find out. Otherwise, I think everything's coming up Chiefs here. I think they can win by 2 scores and cover that number. That's a lot of points for a playoff game, though. Tommy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was 100% on the Chiefs and laying the points, and I still am. I'm going to take Kansas City. The only thing this morning that made me hesitate a little bit is that it does look like, according to Ian Rappaport, that Joe Mixon is going to play for the Texans. He had been questionable all week long, and that had been a little bit of a question mark. But we know how the Chiefs have been as far as stopping the run. I think everything is coming up Chiefs. It's a big number. But the Chiefs have actually covered the number outside of that Broncos game the last few weeks when they played the Steelers and the Texans before that. So give me the Chiefs. I'm going to lay the points. I think that they win by 10.
All right, Brandon?
Andy Reid off of a bye week. This is essentially 2 bye weeks. I love that for this team. Patrick Mahomes has never lost in the divisional round. I don't see anything slowing this down. Just something's missing from this Texans team that's keeping me from picking them. I'll take Kansas City.
Okay, TJ, you and Paul probably going to be different here. What are you taking?
I mean, I really want to be different than Paul, but I think that Paul got it right. So I'm gonna stay with him on this one. Wow. Paul, this is not me throwing my pride out the window. This is me actually picking the Texans, because if I went first, I would have picked the Texans as well. Everybody talks about the matchup against the Texans and how favorable it is. Like they're going to play the Chicago Bears in this divisional round. I think the Texans are really good. I think that it's a matchup that's not great for the Chiefs, especially with the pass rush that they have. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be by more than 8.5.
I respect that.
That's
You're
shocking.
playing your game. You're playing your game.
I'm
I
stunned.
respect that.
That's shocking.
I'm stunned. You guys can lose it together. That's just
I'm
fine.
happy.
That's
I
just
only need
fine.
to make up
Nobody.
2 games. We got 5 we're picking.
Okay, well, let's pick the next one then. We're going to take it in order here. We're going to take Commanders and Lions, the other Saturday game, Saturday night. Lions, if you thought 8.5 points was a lot of points, how about 9.5? The Lions laying 9.5 against the Commanders. Oh, man. I think the Lions are a lot better than Washington. 9.5 points, though. I'll take a swing. I think the Lions will win, but man, 9.5 points in this round. We know this round is typically good. It's typically close. I'll just take the 9.5 points for Washington just because it's too many. I do think Detroit wins the game, though, Brandon. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, I think Detroit just got too much firepower. Last time we saw them out, Jahmyr Gibbs had 4 touchdowns. I just think there's going to be a little too much. I really like this Commanders team, but just not enough in a hostile Detroit environment.
It will be hostile, Tommy, but hostile enough to to make a difference in the game.
Jared Goff in a dome with Dan Campbell. I really like Jaden Daniels. I have all year long, and what he and Dan Quinn have been able to do, especially late in games, and the way that they roll the dice. It's so much fun to watch. But I think Detroit has too much firepower. Give me the Lions. I'm going to lay the 9.5.
Paul, Detroit's getting some players back defensively, but is it enough to slow Jaden Daniels down enough to beat them by 10 points?
You guys don't understand what football magic is, do you? You guys don't understand that the Commanders have that. They've got that it factor. They've got Jaden Daniels. They've got belief. This is a young football team, and this is a football team that's really not bad. Not a bad football team. 9.5 points. That's almost 2 scores. I'm going to take the Commanders. I shouldn't,
it's definitely
but I'm
two
going.
Scores.
Huh?
It's definitely 2 scores.
Almost 2 scores.
Yeah,
almost 2 scores.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
I'm going to take the Commanders.
All right, Commanders for me, Commanders for Paul, Lions for Tommy, Lions for Brandon. TJ, break the tie.
I think that in the playoffs, you talk about taking teams out of their climate, moving them like when the Dolphins came to the Chiefs. I don't think the Commanders are ready to play in that air-conditioned dome that they've got in Detroit. I think that they're going to run that offense up. I think that the Lions going to cover that number.
I'll have to look and see how many times they've played in a dome. I have no idea. I've not looked up that number if they struggle in a dome. All right, let's go to the next one here then, and we've got the Rams and the Eagles. This is one of the games that we should get bad weather in, Brandon. Can the Rams go to a mess out of a dome and beat a team like the Eagles? 6 points is the line, by the way. We're picking that at.
Yeah, I think the Rams got fortunate of playing a team that absolutely stinks last week in the Minnesota Vikings that just did not show up. The Rams kind of got handed that game. I don't see Philly handing this game away. I think with Saquon and Jalen Hurts, they're going to be able to kind of run this one up and at least keep it. But they're going to put it in 2-score territory, Paul. It's more than 8 points. If you're new to the program, I'm going to take the Eagles that at least win by more than 6.
All right, so the Eagles there, just FYI, the Commanders played in a dome on September 29th. They scored 42 points. They played in a dome at New Orleans, only scored 20, and then at Dallas and scored 23. So for those keeping score. All right, 6 points, Tommy. Eagles, I know you don't like the Eagles, but the weather does favor them. Can they cover this number?
I think that they can. The Rams, I really, really like a lot, but I think it stops. I think that the year for McVay and Stafford and Williams and Nakua Cup, all of that, I think it stops in Philly just simply because of the way that the weather is panning out. And I think that Philly can ground and pound a lot better with Saquon and Jalen Hurts on the ground and all of that. That does favor Philadelphia. I think they move on to the NFC Championship round. I'm going to lay those points. I think Philly gets it done.
It's kind of interesting, TJ. We talk about Saquon, rightfully so. Kyron Williams is really good. And the Rams are going to try to run the ball too. Are you giving them a shot with 6 points on the road in Philadelphia?
I don't. I think Saquon's going to have a huge game in this one, especially with the weather that you were talking about. It's really going to kind of come down to a running battle, and I think that the Eagles have the best running back that we've seen in years since Saquon Barkley. So I didn't think that the Rams were going to get past the Vikings, but as Brandon said, Vikings kind of stunk on Monday. So I'm going to take the Eagles to knock those Rams out.
Paul, I'm smelling an island if you want to take it here. You've got McVay. You've got a Hall of Fame quarterback there in Matt Stafford.
There you go. Well, you know something, I'm kind of smelling the same thing. But the problem is that the circumstances with the Rams is that, all the things that are going on in LA, the first week I can see you're playing for your city, you're playing for your people. You've got a lot to play for, a lot of pride. People give somebody something to cheer about. But I'll tell you what, this has been a tough week. If you're in LA, this has not been an easy week. And I'll tell you what, that's probably coming home. I think it's probably weighing heavy. I know this is a non-football deal when it comes to making a pick, but I'm looking at it, they're only human. They've got to be caught up in all the things going on in LA to a certain extent. I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles. I think the Eagles will win this game anyway, but you throw in the mess going on in LA and the inability to be able to concentrate on the task at hand. I think they're only human. I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles for sociology reasons.
I had the Eagles go into the Super Bowl before the year. And, I want to, I want that to be true, but I also don't like the Eagles on like a personal level. I don't think the Rams are getting quite enough credit here, honestly. Like, can they find a way to make Jalen Hurts have to beat them? They found a way to, to defensively scheme up something. They got a lot of young players on defense, but they're playing a lot better on defense. And I do think it's Matt Stafford. So here's what it'll be for me. Do you trust the coach and the quarterback for one team, or do you trust the coach and the quarterback for the other? And I think it's a clear coach-quarterback advantage to the Rams. I'm going to take the 6 points. I'm going to take the 6 points because I do think they can run the ball if they need to. We got A.J. Brown reading books on the sideline. The Eagles just can't feel like things are going good even when they're going good. So I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Island, and I'm going to take the 6 points. All right, let's go to Ravens-Bills here. Bills are 1-point home dogs. Tommy, I think you're up first on this one in certainly the game of the week in the divisional round.
I think it's got to be Baltimore in this game. I really do. And the bottom line, it's going to be a coin flip. So who's going to win the game, right, ultimately? And I know the game is in Buffalo, but there is more pressure on the shoulders of Lamar and that team and Derrick Henry. And, of course, they've got to get it done. This year, probably now. So I think the Bills will continue to get there and have those chances and opportunities, but I'm going to take Baltimore.
Paul, you agree? Which side are you on with this?
Well, here's the thing. These are the Buffalo Bills. They've got the MVP more than likely. This is a really good football team playing at home, getting points. I mean, come on. That doesn't happen very often. I'm going to take the Bills. This is almost a no-brainer. All you got to do is contain Lamar. You contain Lamar, you win this game. I'm going to take the Bills because I think they do contain Lamar.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills too. They're at home. I think the Ravens are as equipped to do this as they ever have been, but I think the exact same thing about the Bills. And they're at home, and weather will be a factor, and it's going to be a heavyweight haymaker fight. I think both defenses are good. Like, this is such a good matchup. It's a coin flip, and in a coin flip, I'm going to take the home dog. I'm going to take Buffalo. Brandon?
Yeah, Buffalo actually opened as the favorites in this, and it swung over to Baltimore. That's pretty notable. I think just everything has been building towards Baltimore, dating all the way back to last year's AFC Championship game where they were just not themselves against the Chiefs. They go out, they add Derrick Henry. I just really, really like this Baltimore team, and I think they get it down the road.
If there was ever a move to identify a bad decision schematically in a big game, it was Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. John Harbaugh does not make that mistake again, does he, TJ? They're going to run the ball in this game.
They are going to run the ball. I really want to pick the Buffalo Bills, but Paul Savage is not going to let me do that. So I guess I'm going to pick the Ravens as well. Huge game from Derrick Henry. I love what their offense is doing, and I was going to pick them all along.
Does that get everybody on that game? Did I miss somebody? That's everybody on that one, right? All right, so we have one more to pick here, and let's do it. We got a couple minutes left. The national championship, Ohio State by 8 points. I can't stand Ohio State. I love Notre Dame. Everything in my brain says Ohio State's going to clean their clock, but I'm going to pick Notre Dame just because. I have no interest in wanting to be right about winning a pick on this show, and I would much rather see the Cinderella Fighting Irish get a win at the Buckeyes. Tommy?
How does national champion Will Howard sound to you? It sounds great.
It sounds
to me.
good. Sounds
So
good.
I would take Ohio State. They've got too much firepower for Notre Dame, and I love Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, but I think Ohio State gets it done, and gets it done pretty easily.
I feel like Notre Dame has no chance in this game, but I'm picking them anyway. Paul, what are you doing?
I'm going to take Ohio State all because of the counter that Notre Dame runs. They're not going to have the same success that they had against Penn State running counter. Ohio State knows how to play counter. Penn State does not know how to play counter. I'm taking Ohio State because they will be able to, I think, overpower Notre Dame. I think they'll be more physical. I'm taking Ohio State.
Brandon, can you just give me this Notre Dame Island, you and TJ? Just let me have it so that if they win, I can brag and be so excited.
Paul took the words right out of my mouth. The way that Ohio State runs counter, I mean, how can you not pick
defends counter? Defends counter.
This week, no, the Buckeyes were my preseason pick. They were my pick whenever we started this bracket just a couple weeks ago. I'm riding the Buckeyes till the wheels fall off.
Come on, TJ, give it to me. Let me have this one.
Paul picked Ohio State, man. I got to do it, and I really don't want to pick them because in no way, shape, or form is Notre Dame ever a Cinderella. What is that about? But they are on Monday night.
We're building storylines here. That's what we do. We're storytellers.
They've got a on their offensive line. I want them.
You got to do it, man. I mean, you got no choice.
Rudy. Cinderella. Nobody gave Rudy a chance. Here we go. Ohio State's way better than Notre Dame, but we'll see. We'll see if they can get him. We'll see if the Ryan Day rumors are true and he doesn't know what he's doing, and maybe that'll help Notre Dame out a little bit. All right, that's it. That's our picks this week. We're whittling them down. We'll have movement in the standings. My wallet's been suffering a little bit these last couple of weeks, so we're going to need to get that back on track as well. Brandon,
we need
TJ,
to sell more tea. That's what we need. Let's sell some more tea.
That's right. I need more money to bet. You guys take a nap. Paul will stick around for one more segment of Sports Daily.
What are we talking about coming back?
We're going to talk about this. Listen, my
championship game?
Yeah, we can. We'll hit that a little bit, and we'll hit this this coaching cycle. We'll get to Rick's point that he made, because I think it brings up an interesting point in these coaching cycles of the quarterbacks need an offensive head coach. There's a lot of examples of that not necessarily being the case. There's, of course, a lot of examples of it being the case. So we'll get into all of those. We'll cram it all into our Flash Full segment here of Sports Daily. Thanks to Crestview Country Club for being supporters of the program. Give them a call. Check out all the great facilities. Now's a great time to join. Who knows? When the weather's cold, you might be able to negotiate something in there. So give them a call. Ask them about all the memberships. We're coming right back on Sports Daily.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say
What is GMFB overtime?
it's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Wichita State wants you to showcase your support for the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday for fans that wear red or yellow to Saturday night's game against East Carolina. Wichita State offering a $5 Hollywood general admission ticket, a $15 quarterback upper reserve ticket, and $2 off Bud Light bottles. Offers are only available in person at the Coke Arena ticket office on game day, which is handy because as you finish up that Chiefs game, you can make your way down, check out the Shocker game, a couple deals there coming from Wichita State. We talked about that game that weekend for the Shockers in the first hour. If you missed any of that, you can go back and catch it on the Odyssey app. I want to talk about these coaches. We just briefly touched on the lack of movement for them. Vrabel's there, and we talked about, the Chiefs and what if Andy Reid did. But Rick brought something up that I think is interesting to look at in this coaching carousel, and it's that you have if you have a great quarterback, or we can think of this with these teams with quarterbacks we think might be able to be good. You need an offensive head coach. We've seen that work a lot in this league, right? We've seen it work for the Vikings, who have gotten a lot out of quarterback with Kevin O'Connell. We certainly saw Sean McVay bring in Matt Stafford and sort of unlock him a little bit. But I do think you don't have to have that be the offensive head coach. We see that fail a lot too, right? We just saw it fail in Jacksonville. Our rookie of the years coming out of a off of a team with a defensive-minded head coach, and he's a quarterback, right? Dan Quinn's the coach there. Jaden Daniels is going to win Rookie of the Year. He didn't need an offensive head coach to be good in this season. So I think it is relative, but I think what you got to look at is, but Cliff Kingsbury's there, right? Cliff Kingsbury's there with Dan Quinn. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick won together for a long time. Tom Brady had the consistency and obviously worked well with Josh McDaniels early on, especially. So I think you don't have to have it. I think at head coach, Tommy, you have to have somebody that's not dysfunctional. You have to have somebody that has things going in the right direction. If they're a great quarterback coach, that's handy. But as it pertains to Caleb Williams, you just use the example of what the Commanders are doing. That team's still alive. They have a defensive head coach, but they have Cliff Kingsbury in there at offensive coordinator. So if the Bears don't hire Ben Johnson and they do hire, I don't know, some defensive coach out there, they at least have to get offensive coordinator right.
Yeah, you've got to have somebody that can work with your quarterback, whether it's the head coach or the offensive coordinator or the quarterback's coach that is functional, and that is, really talented and good at what they do. Take a look at, I don't think that Bo Nix, we would have gotten as much out of him this year had Sean Payton not been the coach.
Sean Payton, yeah.
Right? I think Bo Nix still would have been okay, but I think we got a lot more out of him because Sean Payton is the head coach in Denver. So you've got to have somebody there. I don't think it necessarily, I agree with you, has to be the head coach. Did Mike McCarthy get everything out of Dak Prescott? Maybe he did, and that's just the limitations of Dak Prescott. But I think you do need to have somebody there as long as you've got, a competent person that can work with that quarterback. That's really all that matters.
Well, John Harbaugh, Paul, is the coach of the Ravens, has been Lamar Jackson's entire career. He's not an offensive guy, right? He was a special teams guy. So do we look sometimes too much at the head coach and how much actual coaching they do? Obviously, Andy Reid does a ton of it, but does a head coach have to be a great X's and O's coach to be great at being a head coach, I guess is the question.
A main job of a football head coach is to coach his coaches. A lot of times coaches don't even talk to players. They'll coach those players through their coaches.
You mean the head coaches, yeah.
No, the head coach. So let me just give you a sort of an example of this. Let's go all the way back to the Green Bay Packers, the great teams of the Great Bay Packers under Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi had Hall of Fame players at the position of quarterback, of running back, of offensive line, of receiver, linebackers. He had D linemen, Hall of Famers. He had a couple of DBs, Hall of Fame. He's not coaching all those guys, is he? He didn't coach all those guys to be great Hall of Famers, to be great players. He coached coaches. He got coaches to coach those guys. Vince Lombardi couldn't coach all those guys. So here's the whole thing, guys. We're kind of missing the conversation, and that is great coaches coach their coaches to do what they want done. And I can remember going to practices all the time over the years with Bill Snyder up at K-State. We go to, high schools and small colleges would bring their staffs in and go to practices in the spring and that kind of thing. Bill Snyder walked around with a little pocket dictator, the ones with the cassettes, and he would make notes at every drill, make notes. And then he would go in and he'd talk to the coaches about his notes. He'd have them typed up, and then he'd give his notes to his coaches. Bill Snyder did not coach players. Bill Snyder coached coaches. And we're kind of missing exactly what great coaches are made of. Great coaches coach coaches.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Look, if we look right now, Bill Belichick, obviously a defensive coach, Hall of Fame quarterback. Pete Carroll, a defensive coach, Hall of Fame quarterback, probably. And Russell Wilson.
Sure.
So, but if we look at the postseason right now, look at the AFC. Andy Reid's the only offensive-minded coach in there. The rest are defensive guys. In the NFC, you've got 3 offensive guys and 1 defensive guy in Dan Quinn. I think sometimes we overthink what you have to have. Like in the Bears' job is the job right now, and in the Jacksonville used to be and is to a lesser degree now. Like we keep thinking of these as they have got to hire this coach that's going to come in and be the best for Caleb Williams. But in reality, doesn't Caleb Williams just need the guy who's not going to let the Thanksgiving Day debacle happen? Like that head coach isn't going to be the one in his ear in a game, isn't going to be the one with him every day at practice. It's going to be the one that puts him in the best position to win a game during the game by the decisions that they make. But if they were to come out and hire Mike Vrabel, for example, I don't know how much that impacts the development of Caleb Williams. It's more about who's going to directly coach Caleb Williams.
And you're getting it. Now you're getting it.
There's a good point to be made in that, because you've got the number 3 overall pick in New England and Drake May. They hired Mike Vrabel to be the head coach.
Yeah.
And there was no issue with that, because I'm sure that in Vrabel's mind, he's like, look, I need to make sure that whoever the offensive coordinator is, quarterback coach, all of that is a great coach for Drake May. And then he can overall, take care of everything else. I'm on record. I've said it a lot. I don't particularly care for Nick Sirianni, but there is an article that came out this week on ESPN that I read that talks about how one of the best things that Sirianni did, and there were interviews done with him and his players, was that he gave up the play calling, and now he's the CEO of the team. Like, that's the kind of role that he's playing, and it's allowed him to really go and make close connections with other players that he otherwise would have never known and talked to. And I do tip my hat to him on that. I give him credit on that, because so often coaches are control freaks and they want their hands in everything. But if you can have more of an overarching CEO role, that may very well be the missing link for what Philly has missed all along when Nick Sirianni was calling the offense.
Well, and they brought in high-level coordinators too, Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. I mean, Kellen Moore, I think is a little overrated, but he is a big name. To your point, they brought in big name. And look, there are some coaches that can do both. Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell's doing a nice job of that in Minnesota. Obviously, Andy Reid does a fine job. Bill Belichick was very involved. Nick Saban was very involved, I think, just to keep himself young. And I think, again, there's no one path to it at all. I think there are all kinds of different ways to find your right coach. So just find the right coach. Stop thinking about it in terms of, like, we have to, here's the coach we want. We have that on paper before we ever even talk to anybody. I think that's the wrong way to hire anybody. How about talk to the people and see, and go from there? Not like, it's interesting when we see this, because we get these young quarterbacks and we don't want to ruin them, because they're ruined all the time by bad coaching, all the time. So look at Jacksonville right now. Like, Jacksonville had Trevor Lawrence. Everything was lined up. Everything looked good. They bring in Doug Peterson. He's the quarterback whisperer. Well, they didn't win any games. That's not good for development, right? You got to still have a coach that is just a good head coach, regardless. That's where Dan Quinn sits now. Dan Quinn's had a ton of success as a head coach. They bring him into Washington, and everyone's like, well, why Dan Quinn? Right after you had Ron Rivera, you've got these defensive-minded old guys. Like, why would you do that? Well, guess what? He convinced Cliff Kingsbury to come there. And Jaden Daniels is having an incredible rookie season. Does that surprise anybody? Who was C.J. Stroud's coach his rookie year? D'Amico Ryans was a linebacker, everybody. Like, D'Amico Ryans is a great leader. Like, he didn't sit there and help C.J. Stroud learn how to take a 5-step drop, Paul. He's a good leader. And so just hire the best coaches.
By the way, with Dan Quinn, the only reason why Dan Quinn, still gets kind of criticized is because he presided over the largest collapse in Super Bowl history with the Falcons. That's the only reason why. Like, right. He has been a great defensive coordinator. He's done a really good job in Washington. He was a good head coach for the Falcons, but nobody remembers that. They just remember the fact that it was 28-3 and the Falcons lost to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
That's and forget that he was able to build a 28-3 lead over 100%. The Patriots in a Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's one of those no-brainer. If you go back and look at Dan Quinn's coaching record with the Falcons, he had a winning record.
Yeah,
he won the division twice. Never finished worse than second in the division, and he got fired for that. And then it's like he can't coach. No, he can coach, and he's going to bring in good people around him, Paul. And to your point, that's what it's all about. Like, who can go to Chicago and bring the best people in there to coach Caleb Williams?
Mm-hmm. And that's right. Yeah.
I think that's what makes that job really interesting. More interesting than the others, quite frankly, to me. I don't think it necessarily has to be a quarterback guy in that job. They just have to bring a quarterback guy along with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's right. And of course, the Caleb Williams situation is kind of interesting because, Obviously under the prior management of the coaching staff, that was a situation where he wasn't getting what he needed. By the way, having watched the Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks, Tommy, because I watched every episode of it, it's obvious to me that Caleb Williams, he is a unique individual. He's not going to be coached like a lot of guys would be coached, not like a lot of quarterbacks would be coached. And you've got to figure that out. Personally, I don't think he was should have been the number 1 draft pick. Personally, I knew he wasn't going to be the best quarterback in this whole draft. I actually thought, believe it or not, I thought Daniels would probably be the best. And I mean, that's like really a stretch, right? Come on. Who didn't think that he was going to be one of the top 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL this year as a young first-round draft pick at quarterback? But, it still comes back to the point where Caleb Williams is not where he needs to be. He's not close to where he needs to be. And do you know why he's not? Because he's not getting the individual coaching at that position on that staff. He's not getting it. Now, I'm not sure he's willing to listen to it, even if he was getting it, but he's not getting it.
Time will tell on that. Time will tell on that.
One season, he's not getting it. I know that.
Yeah, and that's okay. Look at Bryce Young. Bryce Young's a great example.
All right,
that's a guy where it clicked. Okay. I mean, it is definitely clicked for Bryce Young later, and I think Caleb Williams is a whole lot more talented than Bryce Young.
Oh,
yeah. Is he as good a leader and everything that Bryce Young, like all those things? I don't know. Probably not yet. But he's young, so we'll see. It's a fascinating. There isn't any movement on this coaching cycle, which is interesting. Can we just get Prime to the Cowboys, please? Can we just make that happen?
You're ready, aren't you?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's light it on fire, baby.
It's going to be Kellen Moore. We all know that.
Just shoot me now.
That hurts.
Just shoot me now. We'll be right back. More Sports Daily right after this.
$66 counties,